Rocket League is one of those games that almost everyone in the gaming world has heard of. Since its launch back in 2015, it's had a huge success, dominating both the casual gaming scene and the esports one. But what makes Rocket League so special? How has it managed to appeal to so many people? Whether you're just playing for fun with your friends, or watching pros pull off insane goals with crazy flips. It's a game that is always fun to watch and play. Even if you have no idea how the mechanics work, you can't help but be impressed what some of these players can do. But how did we get here? How did Rocket League go from being a small game with a quirky concept to one of the biggest names in gaming, even beating out FIFA for Sports Game of the Year in 2016? Sorry, Messi and Ronaldo, there's another GOAT. Well, the story actually starts with its lesser-known predecessor, SuperSonic, Acrobatic, Rocket-powered battle cars. Yeah, that's a mouthful. Bet you didn't know Rocket League was technically a sequel, hey? While SuperSonic, Acrobatic, Rocket-powered, you know what, we're gonna call it SARP from here on out. But SARP never hit that mainstream audience. It set the stage for Rocket League by introducing the same chaotic mix of cars and soccer, just without all the polish and accessibility that the sequel was going to bring in 2015. When Rocket League finally did come out, it blew up almost overnight. A big part of its success was how easy it was to pick up and play, but it also had something else going for it. Twitch and YouTube gamers loved it. Suddenly, the highlights of pulling wild aerial goals were everywhere, and people just couldn't get enough of it. Esports teams took notice too, and pretty soon, the Rocket League Championship Series was born, also called RLCS. That's important because I'm not going to say Rocket League Championship Series every single time in this video. The game's mix of high-skill gameplay and flashy moments made it perfect for highly produced competitive gaming. And things only got bigger when Epic Games bought Psyonix, the studio behind Rocket League. In 2019, with Epic's resources, Rocket League got a massive boost. The game went free to play in 2020, which brought millions of new players, hitting an all-time Steam high player count of 150k. Now, Steam is important there, because the game was removed from Steam in 2020. And Epic started adding crossover events with Fortnite. They also introduced a ton of seasonal content, making sure players always had something new to check out. What started as a fun little indie game has grown into a global phenomenon. Whether you're scoring your first goal in a casual match, like me, please don't judge my gameplay, or watching a pro tournament with thousands of fans, Rocket League has something for everyone. As we celebrate 10 years of rocket-powered cars smashing giant balls into goals, it's worth taking a look back at how this game got so big and why it's still going strong today. Back in 2008, Psyonix released SuperSonic Acrobatic Rocket-powered battle cars, which was an incredibly niche game. Released only on PS3, it never got to the global stardom as its successor. But SARP not only helped me reach the word count on this essay, but it also laid the foundation for what would become the global phenomenon when it became Rocket League in 2015. But let's take a look at SARP first. What was it? Why is it near impossible to record gameplay on a PS3? Why is it near impossible to get a PS3 emulator running on my computer? As of writing this, I still haven't got footage of it, but I'll put on the screen here if I did manage to get the emulator running or if I found footage online. Thanks, editor. SARP was an incredibly niche game that appealed to a very small group of gamers, but it laid the extremely early foundations of what would later become Rocket League, featuring physics-based cars, aerial jumps, flips, goals, competitive online play, and offline bot play. Now, the game, while being extremely similar to Rocket League, lacked in a few key areas. Firstly, the name was so incredibly long and not at all memorable. The game only launched on PS3, so the total demographic of the game was already small. The total demographic of the people who could even play the game was even smaller. Okay, so I ran out of gameplay. Let's talk about Rocket League. 2015 rolls around and gamers are sick of buying the same FIFA game over and over and over. They wanted a soccer game that at least had some sort of innovation other than packs, and different colored packs, and more packs. Hey, there was that one FIFA that had Journey mode. Enter Rocket League. Building on the foundations laid by SARP, Psyonix developed Rocket League with the criticisms of SARP in mind. They improved the camera by simplifying it. In SARP, you had a wide range of controls to change your camera, and this time in Rocket League, it doesn't really give you that much control, just two camera options, follow ball and third person, which are changeable via a keybind without needing to go into any options menu, meaning you could change it on the fly, mid-game. They improved on the overall visual feel of the game. Rocket League, they went with a more futuristic feel with the arenas, cars, and even the ball. They also improved on the map visuals, focusing on the outskirts and out-of-bounds areas of maps much more heavily, as when Rocket League came out, they adopted a standard map dimension thing. It was a soccer field. The same dimensions, but with these different characteristics, helped the game go into esports, as it allowed no home advantage to people who had played and trained more on specific maps, which sort of leveled the playing field by literally leveling the playing field. Psyonix also made the game more accessible, naming it Rocket League, as they admitted in development that SARP's weakest point was the marketing. One of the most impressive parts of Rocket League is the mechanics, but they were extremely similar to SARP, the main difference being Psyonix raised the skill ceiling to insane heights. Not even LeBron could touch it. Adding techniques like flip resets, half flips, roof drops. I have no idea what any of those mean, but my brother plays Rocket League and watches way too much of it. This raised the skill ceiling, allowing players to have that feeling of getting better. Seeing professional Rocket League players do these tactics on the world stage encouraged them to try themselves and create tutorials and videos of them trying out and perfecting these new techniques, which again only increased Rocket League's reach. Psyonix really went from zero to hero. But how did they do it? Well, now let's take a look at the rise of Rocket League. When Rocket League launched back in 2015, it had a trick up its sleeve. It was free to PlayStation Plus subscribers, which was a huge move, instantly bringing in a flood of PlayStation players who might not have picked up the game otherwise. For PC gamers, it was also available on Steam at launch, making it accessible to two major audiences right out the gate. Xbox players, though, had to wait until February 2016 to get in on the action. And Nintendo Switch, they had to wait until 2017. Despite its limited platform availability at the time, the game's popularity skyrocketed within weeks. Rocket League hit 1 million concurrent players, a number that had almost been unheard of back then, especially for a new indie game that was only available on 2 platforms. But what really gave Rocket League its boost was its viral success on platforms like YouTube and Twitch. Almost immediately, the Twitch directory started pulling between 20,000 and 80,000 viewers at any given time. Highlight clips of absolutely insane goals and aerial tricks that casual players could only dream to pull off and understand. I should know, I still don't know how aerial resets work after watching all of these videos. These flooded YouTube, sparking curiosity among gamers who hadn't tried it yet. Soon, tutorials of teaching these advanced mechanics like aerials, wall shots, flip resets began to trend, turning casual players into aspiring pros and drawing even more people into the game. Kids began saying, "Mum, I want to be a professional Rocket League player when I grow up." Sure, Timmy. Sure. While the community was growing at a breakneck pace, Psyonix was busy behind the scenes, setting up something that would take the game to a whole new level. The first ever Rocket League Championship Series. This tournament would not only establish Rocket League as a legitimate esport, but also solidify its reputation as a game with endless skill potential. Not only was it great for the sponsors like Razer and NZXT, it also saw Rocket League's popularity increase further in 2016. 1 million viewers tuned in to the Championship Series, which was the most viewers Rocket League had ever seen at that time. The Rocket League Championship Series, or RLCS, was a huge success, and Season 14 is set for 2025, so it's still running today, which is a testament to its success. It's very rare that a single game takes esports this far without releasing any sequels. Shortly after the first RLCS, Rocket League immediately started work on the next one, which would happen in December of 2016. While the marketing side of Psyonix worked on RLCS, the game developers were hard at work to make sure Rocket League would continue to retain its passionate player base by innovating, adding more game modes, cosmetics, and cars to really get players excited for the next update. Psyonix knew they couldn't just rely on their foundations to keep players interested, so they got to work in updating and expanding the game. The first new game mode introduced in April 2016 was Hoops, swapping out the goalposts for basketball rings. This was the first time Rocket League, or SARP, had experimented with swapping out the goals. Players loved the variety. Psyonix recognized this and they went to add more and more game modes to an ever-expanding game. Snow Day, a limited time gridiron mode, Drop Shot, that's just to name a few. All these modes added variety to the standard 3v3 soccer mode. Now, in a rocket-powered car sports game, you can only add so many game modes, but Psyonix weren't going to stop their efforts just at the game modes. Unlike in SARP, Psyonix got to work on adding cosmetics, and in 2016, Psyonix introduced Rocket League trading and loot boxes, along with a slew of cosmetics, ranging from goal explosions, wheels, boost trails, decals, paint jobs. There was an insane amount, and I'm not going to list them all here. And all of these items have different rarities, from common, which is now known as base, to luxury, exotic, limited. It's like Counter-Strike for cars. The additions of these loot boxes, cosmetics, and player trading allowed Rocket League to basically have its own economy, with highly sought-after items selling for ludicrous amounts of money, some for more than real-life cars. This update brought the Rocket League community to life and saw Psyonix making much more money. Now, this was a very free-to-play style of monetization, but there wasn't too much fight back on this because they saw it was good for the game, especially since the game wasn't full price. Psyonix furthered these cosmetics by doing collaborations with well-known brands, esport orgs, and pop culture references. Just to name a few, they've collaborated with Dying Light, Batman, Mario, The Witcher, Rick and Morty. Hell, they might as well have collaborated with your mother. Seriously, look at all these collabs. These collabs just got fans more excited, getting to use their favorite characters as cosmetics within a rocket car game. This also let Psyonix collab with esports teams who had played in RLCS, allowing players to show their support for their favorite teams, and the teams can get a little bit on the side. So it's 2019 and you're doing whatever you were doing in 2019, and in comes Epic Games. Riding high on the massive success of Fortnite, Epic decides to make a long-term investment and buy Psyonix for a rumored $250 million US. That's a lot of money for what some might call a quirky car soccer game. Naturally, gamers everywhere held their breath. What was Epic going to do with their beloved Rocket League? Well, 2020 marked Epic's first major change. They made Rocket League free to play, and this was a game changer, literally. For the first time in years, Rocket League hit record-breaking player counts. Suddenly, the game was accessible to an entirely new audience, especially since it had launched on Nintendo Switch in 2017. Making it free to play showed that Epic wasn't treating Rocket League like just another purchase. They clearly were in it for the long haul, much like they've been with Fortnite. Now, not all of Epic's changes were welcomed with open arms. One of the more controversial changes was the removal of trading. Many players criticized this decision, claiming it was a way for Epic to push fixed price sales for items, removing the player-regulated market entirely. That said, the changes weren't all bad. Alongside with trading, they did also remove loot boxes, something that many players were happy to see go. Loot boxes were replaced with a more transparent system, blueprints. You can see exactly what you're buying. This wasn't surprising, given that several countries had started to outlaw loot boxes, citing them as a form of gambling. And let's be honest, loot boxes were just a roller coaster of emotions that mostly ended in disappointment. Seriously, I've never gotten anything good from a loot box. Just sad. Lots of sadness. The Epic Games acquisition has allowed Rocket League to continue thriving throughout the years and continue to grow RLCS, with tournaments just getting larger and prize pools expanding to over $1 million US. The first one was like 75,000. That never would have been possible without the support of Epic, major sponsors, and of course, the Rocket League players. The addition of Rocket Racing within Fortnite has only made Rocket League more popular with many younger audiences who discover these rocket-powered cars within Fortnite and want to try out the game they're originally from. It's only a matter of time before brain rot makes its way over to Rocket League. Skibbity toilet antenna, anyone? This, combined with the Rocket League Sideswipe mobile game, has only propelled Rocket League's popularity even further. It's endured that test of time that many games fail because of its supportive developers and supportive community. The unique gameplay keeps players coming back, wanting to improve on their skills, slowly get better, and climb the ranks. But most importantly, the barrier to entry to start climbing these ranks is so incredibly low. It's a free game, available on almost all platforms, and the low skill floor allows even the newbiest of players, me if you've been able to tell by my gameplay, can jump in and start playing. Although I'm not seeming to get any better. 10 years on, Rocket League has continued to evolve from a small indie game to a global phenomenon that has continually redefined esports and competitive gaming as a whole. A simple idea that was already popular just needed the right rename and the right marketing strategy. Rocket League has become Psyonix's magnum opus that has truly launched them to heights that none of the developers or Rocket League players would have expected. Thanks to Epic, Rocket League isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and I can see Rocket League being a game that will be supported for years to come. It will be interesting to see if or when Psyonix ever decide to update the Rocket League engine from Unreal 3 to Unreal 5, or beyond. Only time will tell. Until next time, someone teach me to aerial reset, or at least tell me what it is. Shout out to all the patrons of the channel. All patrons do receive the outtakes and access to videos early. Thanks, guys.